Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky?
Bucky Barnes has been a central figure in the MCU since he first appeared in Captain America: First Avenger. However, Marvel made the right call by selecting Sam Wilson, aka Falcon, to be the next character to embody the role of Captain America. And yet, when looking at the way they've dealt with this character the last few years, it makes you wonder, would they have been more comfortable taking risks if Bucky was under the cowl?
The only power I have is that I believe we can do better.
In the final moments of Avengers Endgame, Steve Rogers wills the shield and mantle of Captain America to his friend and fellow Avenger Sam Wilson. This should have been a turning point for the whole Marvel universe. It opens up a myriad of exciting and enticing stories, like what does it mean for a member of a systematically oppressed minority to now be the literal standard bearer for a nation? Well, judging for the project that Marvel has rolled out since, it means they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted to appear progressive, but when push came to shove, didn't want to say anything that could potentially alienate anyone. But it didn't have to be this way. Look at how they set up Sam as Cap.
How does it feel? Like it's someone else's. It isn't.
It's subtle, mature, and character-based filmmaking. It's such a great way to pass the torch. However, it's not always what's the best creative solution that wins the day. It's the thing that generates the most profit. In the aftermath of large-scale franchise mismanagement, the widespread inclusion of too many television shows, and a scandal that removed one of their linchpin characters from the creative equation, Marvel hasn't exactly had a smooth ride since the end of Phase 3, where they anointed Sam as Cap. In fact, we made a video all about the half-steps and misfires of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which you can find in the link below. But it all boils down to, it's really weird how the show is both trying to tackle issues of racism and systematic oppression, while also playing both sides, not taking a firm position, and making Sam's version of Captain America be a toothless adherent to the status quo. And Captain America: Brave New World didn't do much to redeem the character either. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet. The film, which sees Sam's Cap going up against a rage-filled Thunderbolt Ross, who has now been elected to the presidency, underwent massive reshoots and literally reshot close to half the film. A 22-day reshoot swapped out a central plotline involving longtime Captain America villains, the Serpent Society, with a singular member of the team, Sidewinder, played by Giancarlo Esposito. He takes on Cap mano a mano, delivers forced exposition, and then just disappears from the film 3/4 of the way through. With Brave New World pulling in less than $100 million domestic opening weekend haul, audiences still showed up to the film. However, collective reactions were mixed at best. The film, now largely a sequel to 2008's Incredible Hulk, thanks in part to those reshoots, didn't seem to want to take a side on any political issue, with Cap literally telling Thunderbolt Ross that he sees that he's trying to do better, trying to change. That's a hell of a both sides thing to say. Thunderbolt Ross in this story is a fascist-coded former general who knowingly lied to the American people. He's actively driving the country toward World War III, which begs the question, why make Sam Wilson Captain America if you didn't want him to be political? Would things have gone down better if Disney and Marvel had followed the comics and made Bucky Captain America first? For those not in the know, in the comics, Steve Rogers was killed in Captain America number 25. A tie-in to Civil War, this storyline was later retconned and the character was revealed to be displaced from time. But for a solid 2 years, Steve was out of the picture and James Buchanan Barnes was the man carrying the mantle. Starting in Captain America number 34, Bucky became the heir apparent to the responsibility and privilege of being Captain America. The character was used in a myriad of different ways for his tenure as Cap, from playing a major role in the Siege event to taking over the protagonist of the main title. Bucky was embraced by fans and critics alike. He proved so popular in the role, he even stayed on as Cap for a period of time after Steve Rogers was rescued from his unstuck from time predicament. It's comics, the less said about this, the better. Let's just move on. In the MCU, Bucky has appeared in a much more supporting role since Winter Soldier was released in 2014. Despite popping up in Civil War, Black Panther, Infinity War, and Endgame, Bucky hasn't been developed all that much. The journey he went on in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where we witness him attempting to make amends to the people he hurt while brainwashed, is the closest thing to real development he's gotten. But what would a Phase 4, 5, and 6 Bucky Cap have looked like? Would they have allowed him to be quietly reassembling a new lineup of Avengers behind the scenes? One of the key critiques of the past few phases of the MCU is that they haven't been building enough narrative infrastructure into the stories. General audiences feel confused and bewildered by where all these movies are going. Sure, we literally know it's Secret Wars and a soft reboot of the universe, but what are the chess moves that are getting us there? Bucky inhabiting the role of Captain America would have also been interesting from a character perspective. He's a man whose ability to make decisions was stripped from him for most of his adult life. Steve Rogers' defining trait is that he always chooses to do the right thing, and having Bucky inhabit the role of leader and head decision maker of the Avengers seems like narrative real estate that is primed with conflict and potential drama. We're only a few movies away from Doomsday and Secret Wars being released, and we've only gotten one theatrically released Captain America movie, because Marvel is obviously skittish about making a misstep with Sam. And when they finally do come out with this movie, it's mostly a follow-up to the events of Incredible Hulk from 17 years ago. It doesn't delve deeply into Sam as a character or the symbolism of having a black man as Captain America. Could these things have been solved by delaying Sam as Cap until Marvel had a definitive plan for him? Probably. The real question, though, is will they ever be less sheepish about doubling down on depicting the realities of being a black Captain America? Frankly, probably not. They're always going to be a multi-billion-dollar company. They're always going to value profit over adventurous, artistic statements. There are interesting statements that could have been made with Bucky that Disney might have been more inclined to make. Bucky is a flawed man who's done horrible things, but deep down he's a good person. He's someone who wants to do the right thing, and this would be a perfect metaphor for the American experience, a country that has objectively made mistakes but who wants to head in the right direction, or at least in theory. If Marvel had named Bucky as Cap, it would have been fascinating to see him attempt to reckon both with the legacy of what Captain America means for the country, but also what a positive impact his best friend Steve had made. The stories practically write themselves. Sam's Captain America is a great idea. It's what Marvel and Disney should be doing, but they aren't committing to it. Frankly, they have a hard time committing to anything these days. In Brave New World, we see Bucky running for Congress. He's attempting to make positive change as a civil servant. If this was a through line they'd actually take with the character, it would be really interesting, but the likelihood of that happening is really pretty low. That plotline is going to be dropped quicker than a post-credit scene that reveals Roy Kent as Hercules. Anthony Mackie is consistently being asked on red carpet events if he's going to lead the Avengers. He's Captain America. The fact that people aren't sure about what direction the Marvel Universe is going in is a huge problem. They should have spent the last 5 years showing everyone how vitally important it is that we have a Captain America and that Sam Wilson is the only man for the job, but they haven't. They've spent the last 5 years only producing 2 projects with Sam, and neither of them really showcase why he's the only man for the job. Hopefully, Doomsday and Secret Wars will turn the ship around. It would be great if they can illustrate that Sam is a leader, that he's the definitive Captain America, because right now, it doesn't really feel that way.
It's gonna be okay, Buck.
And well, that's all we have for this episode. What do you think? Should Bucky have been made Cap instead of Sam? Comment down below, and as always, please like and subscribe for more videos just like this.